Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. Happy Friday. 26th of September. Looking forward for this month to finish just so we can actually start trading again and actually get some more range left. So yeah, been a really quiet week for me. Not taking any trades at all. No swing trades, no options trades, no futures trades. Zero, which feels quite nice. And it's not necessarily because I have a baby. It's just there isn't anything for me to do in these areas. So, I mean, we obviously did speak about it in the room a while ago in terms of seasonality, September going into October. And I do think October, November onwards will be much better trading environment to be in, just because obviously you've got Q4, you've got a new quarter starting. And the reason I've not done much this week is just purely because we had already traded our monthly ATR. And also you can see end of month, and next week will be NFP. So there'll be a lot of dealer hedging, and I just don't foresee ranges getting that extreme. So with that being said, you just don't have as much range, which then lowers the probability of your trades, or at least your edge, in my opinion. So what I will do is congratulate anyone that has been able to have discipline this week and not make any trades, or if you have taken some trades and they've worked, pat yourself on the back. Or alternatively, if they haven't worked, maybe just do a little bit of journaling to see what you did wrong or what you could have done better, or if you could have just maybe stayed out of trouble in general. All I'm going to show this morning is I'm going to show the ES and the NQ both on the hourly, to the daily, to the weekly, and I just want to go over a couple of things. So starting on the hourly for the NQ, and then we'll do the ES. What we have done pretty much all this week, and this would have been an A+ setup if we were trading, green on the red on the BX, and we were actually rejecting a previous day low, but we didn't really get any of that. We got the halfway back on Wednesday, and that has gone all the way to its negative 100. We ATR'd out of that target, out of that level, and have pretty much just stayed inside this range for now and pretty much come back up into yesterday's high. On the ES, very similar story. That's why I don't always trade these together, just because they're often very similar, unless they're not, and then maybe I will trade them. But again, very similar story on the ES in terms of the weekly open, failure to go higher, halfway back trades, and again, we go to that full negative 100. Now, if we zoom out to the daily on both of them, you can see the NQ made its first red day on the BX all the way since the start of the month, which is pretty, I want to say pretty crazy, but in a second you'll understand why that's not that crazy. But what we have done is created, at the moment, a higher low, even though we have currently got a lower high on the, a lower low on the BX trender. So I am looking at that divergence to see if that is going to last and to see if that does bring us back up into range. The full same anchor new low halfway back has already traded this morning. And what I would probably want to do to trade any longs would probably see if we pinch the 61.8. The only problem, I just don't have much range on the day to get much points on it, because the ETH is obviously at 24,830s, which is where I think we go today. It's just whether I get enough meat on the bone to actually take a trade. On the ES, very similar. Again, on the daily, we've come down to the high to high, which is the 1, 2, which is the third high to high. This is also a same anchor new high that traded and completed this week. So that same anchor new high, we have come down to the 50, 3 red days on the ES, and we are trying to form a lower high, a higher low. On the NQ, similar sort of story, but I think we are only on about the second high to high, not the third. So the ES is a little bit more aggressive on its trend. But again, we are stuck at that high to high. That 61 is at 24,445s. That will be key if that holds or not. If it doesn't hold, we're going to be going lower. It will just be a case of how low we go. And we'll assess that once that actually breaks and holds below. Weeklies, don't really need to mention them. They're the same draws as the daily. It's just BX is obviously still green. BX is obviously still green. So that is pretty much your hourly to daily to weekly time frame on both the ES and NQ. Not going to go over it too much more than that. What I will do is just, again, now focus just solely on the NQ and take you back to a traditional that traded on the RTH only session. If just get rid of this. we had a ATR reversal down on the 30-minute time frame, and we did actually trade a halfway back. That halfway back traded on Tuesday's session. Very sloppy, but it did trade. So I'm keeping it on my screen just because it did trade. And RTH wise only, this was a full session RTH draw from Tuesday, and it completed into the close and pretty much stayed there the whole session. That same anchor new low again traded the 50 on the open of Wednesday. You had to be so fast to get the short on Wednesday. I just don't think I would have even taken it, even if it was probably aligning up with what I would have wanted to see, just with it being so fast. But if you didn't take that, it was a drop, base drop, and you bounced. You basically found support at that 62, consolidated, and again same anchor new low. In fact, it was what would be the low to low from the previous draw. You came into that 38 once, twice, and this is where we came down to yesterday and found our support. Now that support is at the 62. Again, as these extensions get bigger and bigger, you will find support at the 62 and find it very difficult to break and hold or get below the negative 100, which at the moment is 24,320s. So yesterday's low is pretty much at that 62, that 62% retracement. We ATR reversaled up on the 30-minute time frame, on the 30-minute time frame, and also on the hourly time frame. So it was a very aggressive bid on all time frames, specifically the hourly, which is what led the smaller time frames to follow through with that. You can see that was a very aggressive draw, and we came back down a couple hours later to rebalance that half an hour midpoint, that hourly midpoint. We haven't really traded any traditionals, but what I would say is we did close above. Now, I know I like to always see a clean reaction would be it doesn't exactly test or tag the 61, but since this has closed above the 50, that is pretty aggressive to the long side, and that completion will be at 762. So if we do complete that 762 target, I would probably favor the same anchor new high. The only caveat to that is obviously the same anchor new low currently lines up with what would be the short entry. So it's kind of like, and even if you go full traditional on the week, you're pretty much at that midpoint. So the conservative person in me wants to just wait. The fact we've pinched or tagged the 61 on the overnight session at 734s is bullish to me. So I would favor the long side once we can probably get back above that. The only thing I said about the ETH was the range on the day on the ETH session at the moment. Obviously, we don't know what the RTH is just yet. We could forecast it, which you can do if you've got the indicators. But currently, that is 830. So from 730s to 830s, there is 100 points. And this ATR candle on the hourly does have a completion all the way up to 862s. So there is range there. And if we can get above the previous day high and hold that level, which at the moment is 700s, we're just below it. I would favor probably an RTH draw, which means I would be looking at just the full session RTH draw. The only reason for that is to get a full same anchor new high, you're probably going to be looking at bidding 620s, which at that point, if I just mark where that is, 620s, you're going to be probably closer. No, you're still closer to yesterday's high than you are yesterday's low. And that is kind of actually lining up with the ETH trend line. So 620s may be a solid, I would say, a discount long trade, trying to go against the buying below the overnight high, buying below yesterday's high as opposed to above. But 620s as that first potential, do we get a reaction? And then if we do, I would be basically looking to see if there's any RTH traditionals above the previous day high and ride that up into 830s. Again, I'll be fully transparent. We don't have much range. We do not have much range. The reason for that is if we zoom out, again, the monthly ATR, can you see that, guys? The monthly ATR was right there at 24,956. Once we hit that range, again, this is static. This isn't a dynamic level. Once that range, that level was fixed, once the month opened, because it's the amount of range that a monthly candle has on average. So that got traded, and that's when you printed your ATR reversal down halfway back, and so far that has set the scene in terms of the bearish reaction, hence why the BX has turned red. So we have only had confluence pretty much, I would say, kind of today is your only confluence that the shorts are in the market, and it's a Friday. So if you really want to try and short the market on a Friday, be my guest. That's the only tricky thing. That's your only confirmation you have today. But for me personally, I'm probably going to try and trade the long side if I do. But it's just, I'm going to appreciate there's not going to be much range. It's going to be like 60 to 100 points of range. And it's probably not going to be the most sexiest trade. But that's all I really have this morning. If there's any questions, let me know. But other than that, I will jump over to Whoop. But again, no trades taken this week, no futures trades, no options trades, no stock trades. And there's a specific reason for it, right? Trade the market you're in, not the market you want to be in. I will see you all on Monday. Everyone on Whoop, I will